we are domesticated and our genes are just proliferating. Every type of gene structure that's possible is surviving, and people are growing up and eating peanut butter every day and whatever they're doing with their lives, that would have been killed off by any number of microbes ages ago. So we're going to get to the point where we've got a lot of DNA which would have been culled out. A lot of it would have been culled out by the quickest disease or whatever generations ago. But it's just building up and then passing on to the next generation and so on. So he misunderstands a little bit if he knew more. That we're not going to give rise to the next best thing, the next greater thing, like apes turn into man type. That's not true. An ancestor of us, turned into us and apes and gorillas and chimpanzees, all that. We're not going to lead to the next greater thing up. Actually, our batteries are reducing quickly. You have made your way from worm to man, and much in you is still worm. If you only knew that our DNA is like 50% compatible with the DNA of the lowliest bacteria, and like 60% with peas, and 78% with octopuses, and 80% with cows, and 97% with apes. If he only knew how much is still worm. Once you were apes, and even now too, man is more ape than any ape. Man is more ape than any ape, so his advance has brought on things more primitive than what the apes do. That's a rich line, man is more ape than any ape, but I don't know if anyone could stand by it but a crazy person like Nietzsche. Whoever is the wisest among you is also a mere conflict. Now remember, he's talking to the people in the square of the town. Whoever is the wisest among you is also a mere conflict and a cross between plant and ghost. But do I bid you become ghost or plants? Behold, I teach you the Overman. The Overman is the meaning of the earth. Let your will say this, your willpower. The Overman shall be the meaning of the earth. I beseech you, my brothers, remain faithful to the earth, and do not believe those who speak to you of otherworldly hopes. He did despise Christianity, that's for sure. Poison mixers are they, whether they know it or not. Despisers of life are they, decaying and poisoned themselves, of whom the earth is weary, so let them go. That's what he says about religious people. Once the sin against God was the greatest sin, but God died, and these sinners died with him. To sin against the earth is now the most dreadful thing, and to esteem the entrails of the unknowable higher than the meaning of the earth. Now that sounds a little bit like environmentalism, and some of you won't be shocked to know that they had roaming environmentalist wilderness cult groups in Germany in the pre-Hitler days. They had cultish groups of kids that just wandered through the forest in the wild and survived as best they could, and sometimes by brigandry and robbery, and worshipped the earth, and they hated civilization, they hated everything that was developed, and they believed nature was good, and they believed getting back to nature was a good thing. It's not different from the environmentalism we have today. Once the soul looked contemptuously upon the body, and then this contempt was the highest. She wanted the body meager, ghastly, and starved. Thus she hoped to escape it and the earth. Oh, this soul herself was meager, ghastly, and starved, and cruelty was the lust of this soul. But you too, my brothers, tell me, what does your body proclaim of your soul? Is not your soul poverty and filth and wretched contentment? Wretched contentment. Some people think that being content is the purpose of life. It says wretched contentment. Your soul is poverty and filth and wretched contentment. Verily, a polluted stream is man. One must be a sea, an ocean, and able to receive a polluted stream without becoming unclean. Behold, I teach you the Overman. So if man is a polluted stream running down a hill, then the Overman is a great ocean, which can take man into it. It's not clear what contribution this polluted stream would have to the Overman. Behold, I teach you the Overman. He is this sea. In him your great contempt can go under. What is the greatest experience you can have? Now, for Aristotle, that's happiness. For Plato, it's probably rational thought, but he means a weird thing by rational. The greatest experience you can have. It is the hour of the great contempt. The hour in which your happiness, too, arouses your disgust and even your reason and your virtue. When your happiness arouses your disgust, your reason, and your virtue. A few good lines in Nietzsche, but then once in a while he almost explicitly attacks Aristotle. The hour when you say, "What matters my happiness? It is poverty and filth and wretched contentment, but my happiness ought to justify existence itself." Come again, but my happiness ought to justify existence itself? And yet it's poverty, filth, and wretched contentment. The hour when you say, "What matters my reason? Does it crave knowledge as the lion his food?" It is poverty and filth and wretched contentment. The hour when you say, "What matters my virtue?" Ooh, you're going to attack virtue now. "As yet it has not made me rage." If you're not mad yet, do you have any virtue? The virtue that you the virtue you have hasn't made you rage. "How wary I am of my good and my evil. All that is poverty and filth and wretched contentment." Boy, he keeps using that line, doesn't he? The hour when you say, "What matters my justice?" So he keeps going over these. What matters my virtue? What matters my justice? What matters my happiness? What matters my justice? I did not see that I am flames and fuel, but the just are flames and fuel. The just are flames and fuel. Perhaps I am not flames and fuel. Perhaps no one's going to throw me on a fire. But people who have justice as an essence in them do get thrown on fires. The hour when you say, "What matters my pity? Is not pity the cross on which he is nailed who loves man? But my pity is no crucifixion." Have you yet spoken thus? Have you yet cried thus? Oh, that I might have heard you cry thus. Not your sin, but your thrift cries to heaven. Your meanness, even in your sin, cries to heaven. Your meanness, your averageness. Even when you sin, you're just average. Come on, just at least go out of bounds when you sin, says Nietzsche. Where is the lightning to lick you with its tongue? Where is the frenzy which you should be inoculated? Behold, I teach you the overman. He is the lightning. He is this frenzy. When Zarathustra had spoken thus, one of the people cried out, "Now we have heard enough about the tightrope walker. Now let us see him too." And all the people laughed at Zarathustra. But the tightrope walker, believing that the word concerned him, began his performance. So Zarathustra found a crowd and began talking, and he goes on and on and on, and they're like, "All right, now let's see the tightrope walker," and everybody laughs. Zarathustra, however, beheld the people and was amazed. Then he spoke thus, "Man is a rope tied between beast and overman, a rope over an abyss, a dangerous across, a dangerous on the way, a dangerous looking back, a dangerous shuddering and stopping. What is great in man is that he is a bridge and not an end. What can be loved in man is that he is an overture and a going under." I guess that means a contrast, right? An overture is the part that comes before a piece of musical symphony or whatever, and a going under means to be buried in. I've heard the German has some connotations of to mean to be buried. If you know the German connotations of the term to go under, please leave it as a comment. I love those who do not know how to live except by going under, for they are those who cross over. It's by going under in the metaphorical sense he means that you cross over man, you cross over the bridge, rather than just stopping on the bridge and dying. I love the great despisers because they are the great reverers and arrows of longing for the other shore. I love those who do not first seek behind the stars for a reason to go under and be a sacrifice. Right? They don't seek a reason to be a sacrifice, but who sacrifice themselves for the earth, that the earth may someday be